main topic for today. The task given to me is to give you some guidelines on how to write a research paper, how to write a research paper for submitting, maybe for the symposium. For that, I have few slides. So this will be a very open session where we can discuss anything. If you have any questions, or you can ask me, then we can discuss very freely. So you have this first slide here, how to write a research paper, and maybe there's a picture. What is in this picture? Can somebody just tell me? Picture or photo, whatever. What do you see in that?
Person climbs the stairs.
Yes. A person is stepping on the stairs, climbing the stairs. So how can you relate it to research? Our purpose is writing a research paper. But here you can see somebody going up.
When the process is happening, there can be obstacles because the person who is stepping is having an obstacle to climb the ladder or something like that.
That is right. So there can be obstacles. That is one idea.
Climbing step by step, you can reach to the top. Exactly.
That is the main idea, right? Climbing step by step, right? You can achieve you can go to the top. So writing a research paper also is like that. It is a step by step approach, right? So you have to start, then take the first step, then second step. Then as somebody said, maybe you get tired in the third step, but you don't stop. Step by step, you have to do this. I know for many people, what happens is they start and halfway, maybe even in your research project presentations, I know when the examiners are giving you some comments, right? You get disheartened, you get disappointed. Then sometimes you try to give up. That is not so, right? You have to bear it up. Understand what are the comments, what are the criticisms, and have a step-by-step approach up to the end. So writing a research paper is also something like that. It's a step-by-step approach, right? So what is a research paper? Can somebody tell me without just looking at this idea? If I ask you, what is a research paper? Now we have our final years here who are doing their research. What is the research paper?
Identifying a problem.
Good.
And after that, we should explore the causes.
Okay.
And after that, we should analyze that, and we should come to a conclusion by evaluating.
Okay, you identify a certain problem, then you understand the situation there, you explore it, then you understand what are the reasons for this, what are the other situations, you explore it, then you decide on certain things, right? Maybe you develop a theory, or you develop maybe a method to solve that problem. Then finally you come to the end. Simply maybe that answer is okay. But in another terms, what's the definition given here? A research paper can be considered as a living thing, right? Living thing always grows and changes as the student explores. A growing thing. Living thing is growing always, changing. Right? Think of a baby, think of a plant. Right? Growing and changing. As the student explores, right? In that step-by-step approach, right? When you start doing your exploration, you will be in a different level. After doing some research, your level is different. Right? It is always changing. Sometimes I know you have identified the problem and maybe you have written your topic, but many times you will have to change that topic. You have to change the method you are doing. You have to change the way you are trying to interpret, trying to evaluate. So it is a changing process, right? You have to evaluate resources related to specific topics. So idea given in research paper can be considered as a living thing. It grows and changes as the student explores, interprets, and evaluates sources related to specific topic. So it is a changing process. I know many students, our people in the final year, when they are doing a research, right, on the way, when we are suggesting to change the topic, when we are suggesting to change the way they are doing it, you get upset. No, you have to, right, understand these things, accept those, and undergo the process, make the changes, then finally you can achieve your target. So why do you need to learn how to write a research paper? Now, of course, the purpose of this session is, of course, for you to get ready to submit your paper for the symposium. But in the university or in the college, right, you are required to write many research papers. So you should know how to write a successful research paper, right? Maybe in your final semester, you have the research project, but even during the course, you will have to do certain simple sort of assignments, like simple researches at a very simple level. Here, our purpose is our symposium. So that's why it says college, you will be required to write many papers. So you must know how to write a successful research paper. And as I told you, it's a step-by-step approach. And this presentation will give you directions on how to write a research paper. Now, before I show you the next slide, if I ask you a question, right? What are the sections of a research paper? In symposiums, conferences, sometimes you are supposed to submit only the abstract. Sometimes you are supposed to submit only the extended abstract. Sometimes you are supposed to submit the full paper. So 3 types. Sometimes only the abstract, sometimes only the extended abstract. Details we can learn later, sometimes the full paper, right? So now my question is, what are the sections of a usual research paper? By now, I am sure you have read some papers, you are writing some papers. What are the sections? Any idea?
Introduction,
Introduction,
literature review,
literature review,
data collection,
data collection,
and data analysis.
data analysis. So that's a good response.
Conclusion.
Conclusion. Okay, conclusion. Thank you for that answer, that response. So some of the sections you have mentioned, right? Now look at this. Then you look at the structure of a usual research paper. Structure or the content. Normally, we have these sections: abstract, introduction, literature review, methodology. Somebody said data collection and data analysis. So those 2 are coming under methodology. Then results, discussion, conclusion also you mentioned, right? Then references, right? Then appendices, right? So about each section, we will now look at some explanation. So the abstract. So I know for most of the researchers, the most difficult task is writing the abstract. They find it very difficult, right? You find it very difficult to write the abstract means you are not very thorough of what you have done. As I said, for some symposiums, only the abstract is sent, right? You publish the abstract only. Beyond that, extended abstract plus some other necessary sections. You call it extended abstract, or else the full paper. So what is the purpose of the abstract? To briefly introduce the reader to the study aims, the methodology, results, and findings. So when you write the abstract, right, mainly these 4 sections should be included. Aims of your research. Then the methodology. Aims means why you do it. Methodology, how you did it. Right? So under the methodology, what are the methodologies you have normally learned by now? Maybe you have referred any sort of research books or with your experience. Under the methodology, normally what are the methodologies we do research? Can somebody answer?
Quantitative and qualitative method.
Yes, very good. Quantitative method, qualitative method. Then that's a good answer. Quantitative, qualitative, combining those two, what do you call? Mixed method, right? So one of these 3, qualitative method, quantitative method. Combining these two also some people do, you call it mixed method, right? When you collect your data, right? You collect them quantitatively or qualitatively, or by combining these both. So these 3 methods normal, quantitative, qualitative, or mixed. So you have to mention in the abstract how you did that, then the results and findings. Findings plus maybe conclusions. Normally abstract word limit is given normally. When you write the abstract, maybe 1 page, right? 1 page abstract that might go into 50 to 60 words. You have to manage. Writing the aims, purpose, methodology, results, and findings. Right? If you are a good researcher, you will write the abstract after doing everything. Right? At the final stage, you will write the abstract. That is because they are very much serious and you are very much thorough of the subject, what you have done. Right? Then abstract is the first section, then the introduction. Right? Introduction gives you to introduce a clear overall purpose for the study. Introduction, clear and overall purpose of your study. Why you are doing this, right? Overall picture, the reason for selecting this, what tempted you to do this study, purpose. So based on that, you have to define some research questions. Right? You may have the purpose and everything, but you have to focus that purpose. Limit that purpose to a few main questions that you are going to investigate. That's why we write research questions to maintain your focus, right? So based on research questions, right, we write objectives. In some papers, research questions plus objectives you write. If you have 3 questions, you write 3 objectives. Targeting those 3 questions, you write 3 objectives. It can be the other way also. If you have 3 objectives, you have to write 3 questions. That will be your main focus. So maintaining this due focus throughout your study is very important. Sometimes what happens is we go out of focus, right? We are hunting for information, meeting many people, researching. So we are going out of focus, right? We don't know the limit and whatever, then we go out of focus. So it is better to and important to identify your questions and the objectives clear. Then you have to, in the introduction, you have to provide a brief background of your study, right? When you write the background, you can think of the global situation, scenario, and local scenario related to the study area that you have selected, background, and also relevant theories and practice. If there are theories identified, you can highlight those. Then literature review. Now I am presenting you section by section what is to be included in your research paper. Literature review. Another headache for the new researchers. Another headache. They find it very difficult how to do the literature review, right? Depending on your study level, you will have to spend hours and hours, days and weeks, and maybe months in this section, literature review, right? You have to study seriously to mention important issues and controversies around the problem, right? To the identified problem, you have to search papers, right? Look at practical situation and identify important issues, papers published by different people on the subject, controversies, right? Arguments for and against the topic, right? Then what are the conclusions that is available in the research? And what are the different writers, whether different writers agree or not? So literature review is a very important section, right? That will make you ready. You will be well armed for your study. Then methodology, as I mentioned earlier, to demonstrate that you are known of the research method utilized to study this topic. As I mentioned in the methodology section, you have to mention, right, importance of this methodology that you are selecting, why you are selecting. So your methodology, you have to decide depending on the subject that you are doing your research, whether to select qualitative method, whether to select quantitative method, or to use both. Then under the methodology, we have to explain, and as I said, data collection, how you are going to collect your data. Are you going to give a questionnaire? Are you going to give a survey form, a Google form, right? Depending on your method, are you going to interview people? Are you going to use observation to collect your data? That you have to decide, right? If you are working with your supervisor for your exam purpose, if you are working with a supervisor or colleague, your friend, if you are right, if you are going to publish your paper to a conference, if you have another colleague or author, you can discuss. Then data analysis methods, how you are going to analyze your data, qualitatively or quantitatively. Are you going to use any softwares, SPSS or whatever, for quantitative analysis or thematic analysis, descriptive analysis? That sort of stuff you have to be aware of. Then results section. After analyzing data, purpose of results section is to present the findings of your research in an orderly manner, right? Whatever you do, not only in research, in your personal life or in your studies or in your office situation, whatever you do, if you do not present them in an orderly manner, that is helpless. You are helpless, useless. So it is valid for research also, right? You have to present your findings in an orderly manner, right? So how to present it properly? Maybe in tables, in pie charts, in diagrams, right? On topics and subtopic wise, we have to decide. Presenting results, present the findings of your research in an orderly manner. Then discussion. You have to discuss these results, right? Based on your results and analysis, you have to comment on the trends, your trends and findings, and show your understanding of what your data recommends. So discussion is very important because you are going to justify your conclusions in your discussion, right? If you are going to present a theory out of your study, as a result of your study, if you are going to present a theory, through the discussion, you have to prove it.
Sir, does it mean that we have to provide our own opinion there?
Yeah, you're in the discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, your opinion has to be justified with the results in your discussion, right?
Thank you.
Commenting on your trends. Trends means, yes, trends, findings, right? Your opinion is definitely there in the discussion, right? Then conclusion statement, to aggregate findings and highlight the significance of the study outcomes, right? You have your findings, you highlight the importance, significance of your study outcomes. You give conclusions based on this thing. This is what can be concluded. This will be important for language learning, improvement, or whatever, right? You give the conclusion. And sometimes you discuss the limitations of your study, right? In your, maybe your exam papers, you have to do limitations, right? Many studies, there can be limitations. For example, maybe your total population is throughout the country, but you limit it maybe to one province. Your population is in a number of schools, but you limit it to only one school. Limitation, that is one. There may be different types of limitations. Population-wise, your research-wise, your right terminology limitations, and also in the conclusions, you have to mention whether further research is required. Sometimes people give conclusions based on these findings. Further research can be done. So that is the conclusion section. So I have very briefly given you an idea of the main sections. Up to conclusion, I have discussed. And then we have the references section. I think you all are aware of references section. That is not explained here, but what do you mean by references section?
The sources that we took from.
Yes, the sources. When you write your paper, you have in-text citations, right? Especially in the literature review, if you have referred a certain source, you have to mention it there. you call them in-text citations, right? So in-text citations, you in the text, we can look at some examples, you mention it, and at the end of the paper, you have reference section. There you have to list them out, right? At the end, references section. Sometimes you have bibliography, right? Bibliography section is different from references. References section means all the papers, all the sources you have referred, you include in the references section. But bibliography, maybe all the papers or whatever resources you use, plus any other related sources also. Normally in the bibliography you mention. But references section, definitely if you have referred 50-30 articles or sources, all those should be included in the references section. Then appendices. What do you mean by appendices? Some people call it annexes. Yes, what do you mean by annexes or appendices?
We can add our questionnaire, interview questions.
Yeah, questionnaire is one annex, very good. Questionnaire copy is one annex or appendix, right? Maybe permission letter that you write to a certain organization. Permission letter, the questionnaire, interview protocol. If you have used an interview method, what are the interview questions? You call it interview protocol as an annexure. If there are some other diagrams, maybe coming as annexures or appendices, right? Additional documents you can include. So coming to this section, how to write research paper, some other explanation. So most important thing is choosing your topic. That is, many people get lost, find it difficult choosing the topic. For that, you have to ask yourself important questions. We have to ask ourselves, right? Choosing your topic is the first and most significant step in your research paper. It is necessary to keep a few questions. That's why I asked some questions. Why am I going to do this? Right? Then is there enough research available on this topic? Right? If there is not enough research available, research previously done, we will be in trouble because we can't find any literature review. So we have to get an idea. Is there previously done research available? Is the topic unique and new that I can provide fresh opinions? Somebody asked about opinions in the discussion, right? After doing the research, there should be something new that has come. Is it pertinent to my class? So that is very important. Last question. We have to do a research relevant to our study area. We have to do our research relevant to our professional area, our occupation area, our study area. Because we have to be thorough with that. For example, as a language teacher, I can't go and do a research on, say, mechatronics. Can I do? No, I'll be in trouble. Computer studies? No. What is related to you? That is important. That is why it says, pick something you love. Pick something you love, you like. Choose a topic that you have interest about. Writing about something you enjoy, right? Surely shows in the final product. So stay original, right? Sometimes when we do with other people, maybe you deviate from your topic. Without that, right? You have to stay focused, as I said, stay focused. Should be unique, interesting. Get advice. If you are confused with a topic that feels you just right, then get advice from your professor. It says professor, your teacher, a co-worker, your classmate. Right? If you are doing for your exam, you have your supervisor, your friends, get advice. Right? Don't think that you can do this all alone. You have to get support. For anything and everything in life, we have to get support from others. Then it will be an easy job. That's why you get a supervisor. I know, but supervisor is not available. You find it difficult to find the supervisor, contact supervisor, some people. But somehow or other, you have to go after them. Right? You have to disturb your supervisor as much as possible, trouble them, get advice. Our purpose here is the symposium research paper, right? So you have to get support from others. And another important thing is, don't be afraid to change your topic. As I told you, sometimes maybe at the beginning we have a topic. I know you get upset when your friends suggest, no, this section has to be changed. Sometimes your examiners suggest you to change the topic. Then you get upset. No. This is a changing process, dynamic process. Topic can be changed at any level. Don't be afraid to change your topic. Right? If you select a topic, start researching and realize that it is not the right decision for some reason, so don't be afraid to change that topic. Change is necessary everywhere. In life, we have to adapt to changes. In your job situation, you have to adapt to your changes. So in the same manner, in doing the research also, we have to make changes. Then researching, right? Researching is how to identify the topic, then researching. Begin your researching and searching. Begin your research, begin your search. With the topic chosen, next step is to start research. You should use at least 5 sources to vary your information, right? At least 5 sources. Never depend on only 1 or 2 sources. Sometimes our people depend only on previous research papers. No. Right? Get advice from your supervisors, friends, then previous research papers, books written related to that, right? Examine other practical documents, right? Use different websites, meet people and discuss. That is important. Look for empirical research, right? Empirical research. Empirical research means practically done research with examples, without only depending on theory, right? What is really done? Peer-reviewed papers. Whenever possible, look for peer-reviewed empirical research that have already been done, practically done, rather than depending on theory. These are books or articles written by experts, your interested field, right? Experts in your interested field. That's why I said the previously done research, real practical examples. You have to research. So this is the most important part in your study, in the literature review. I know most people don't do this. At exam level and our study level, people don't do this. Right? But that is important. Visit the library. You see some of the resources. I said don't depend on only 1 or 2. Visit the library. Visit your local library or university library. Right? If you are a good researcher, in all your areas, there are libraries in your towns, not only the university library. there may be different books available in your local library. In the university library, may be different sources, right? You should be a frequent visitor of the library wherever you are, either your school library, university library, or your town library, wherever. Don't be afraid to, now you have most of the things online. That is second point. Don't be afraid to ask for the librarian help. They are experienced in research. Sometimes if you discuss an experienced librarian and if you discuss with her or him about the topic, there are very experienced librarians doing research. They will help you. They will definitely help you which section to go, right, related to your topic, where the research information is located. So visiting library is important. Look online. Nowadays we have online. You have your lectures online. You have a website. Now, of course, everything is available freely for you. During our study time, we didn't have online. Using a search engine and choosing the top 3 results is not important. The best method of researching, use critical thinking. So you have to critically think, thoroughly read each source and determine if it is legitimate, right? Online, sometimes there may be some unacceptable sources also. That's why we have to think of legitimacy. There may be some fake sort of sources, right? You have to identify real legitimate sources, legitimate websites. Use academic databases. So these are different sources. I said here, you follow at least 5 sources. So visiting the library, looking online, using academic databases which are related to your subject only. Take a trip to your school library and ask the librarian for complete information of the academic databases, right? They have different databases are available, language or IT or whatever. Then get creative with your research. You have to be very creative with your research, right? Change the topic, be innovative, creative, and do that. You get one really interesting book or journal that completely covers your topic. Look in the works, cited bibliography as I'm a reference list, that at the end, they also have many more books. So in this reference section, by bibliography section, these are mentioned, so you can get them and then you can find information by going through those books or websites that are mentioned in the cited the bibliography or reference section related to your topic. Then making an outline. After doing the study, you have to write an outline, annotate your research. That means you have to systematically arrange it. Annotating means systematically arrange it. Once you have collected all your research, print it out, right? This step is very necessary. Read through your research, take notes on what you think is important. You may have a number of different papers that you have collected, written reports, get them organized. Annotating is getting them organized and carefully sort them out. Right? Organizing your notes. Organize your notes, collecting highlighted phrases and categories. Important. Construct a preliminary bibliography reference page. As I said, preparing a basic reference section page. Then identify the goal of the paper. Right? As I said, this focus is important. Each type of paper requires a slightly different focus and writing style, which should be prior identified to beginning a rough draft. So your writing style, right, is important. Maybe writing style can be different. That's why slightly different focus. According to different focus, writing style can be different. For example, if you are writing on the language concept, right? That style is different from maybe a technical subject, mechatronics, some other experiment. If you have done an experiment, practical experiment, writing style is different, right? Different from a concept-based topic. So we have to think of that. Develop your thesis statement, right? Developing the thesis statement. Thesis statement is always 1-2 sentence statement of starting of your paper that specifies your paper goal or argument, right? You are supposed to write some thesis statement in some papers, right? That is, in 1 or 2 sentences, you clearly give a statement, right? Idea of your paper goal or argument into 1 or 2 sentences. Then determine your main points, right? You have to think of the main points that you are going to discuss, like writing a technical paper. Then formatting guidelines based on your paper rubric, right? Normally paper rubric or author guidelines are given. Paper rubric means author guidelines. Now, for example, for this particular symposium, if you go to symposium website, there are author guidelines given. Formatting guidelines, class guidelines, organizing your paper, font size, right? Everything is given in author guidelines, number of words, right? Then referencing styles, everything is given in author guidelines. You have to follow that. Then finalize your outline. Finalizing your outline. After doing this, first you write an outline of that. Then you write your paper, write your body, paragraph like in technical writing. You write your body of the body paragraph. Sections that can be topics and subtopics, sections, subsections, how to format them, how to numbering system, right? All these things you have to separately study and do. Then write in the conclusion. Write in the conclusion, objective of the conclusion is very simple terms to answer the question, so what? At the end of the day, so what have I done? So conclusion. This is final statement. What is the outcome? You have to write the introduction, as I have discussed that, documenting your paper, putting them in the correct order, edit your rough draft, editing and all, you know that, editing the rough draft, then create the final draft, writing the final paper, and all these steps are very, very important when you write the paper, editing your draft and creating the final draft. So those are the main things that I want to discuss under this how to write a research paper. The main steps in writing the paper. This is only an overall discussion. Now let me show you this this reference style, right? Referencing style, citation examples, right? When you are supposed to present a paper, mainly in our case, our field is education and language studies, and so on. So we are supposed to mostly supposed to present in APA style. APA style, Association of American Psychological Association style. So when you use your in-text citations, and when it comes to bibliography or reference section, this is how it should come. If it is a book, author name, this bracket is important, no? Bracket, author name, comma, then year of publication. In the in-text citation. What do you mean by in-text citation? Can somebody tell me? What do you mean by in-text citation? I'm asking a silly question.
Within the text.
Yes, yes. Good answer. Say again.
Within a text.
Within the text, in your paper, inside those paragraphs, you have cited the source. You call it in-text citation. So in the text, you put only this in the APA style, author and the name, year. But then in the reference section or bibliography section, you have to give details, right? Author name with the initials, then year of publication and the title, right? If it's a book, if it's a chapter, again, author name, year in the in-text, and in the reference section, right? These details. You have to carefully do this, right? Examiners will check whether you have followed this. Reviewers, reviewers will check this. If it's an article in a print journal, right? Name and year of publication. Then you write author name with initials, year of publication, and the article title. So like that, if it's a website, right? Document and the year of publication and the detail. This is APA style, right? You can look at details. Then IE reference style, right? IE reference style. Engineering side, I know. If it's a book, right? It is different, right? Now you see this here. We put year of publication first, but in the IE style, year of publication coming at the end. So these are some slight differences. Author name, even initials first, then the name. But here we put initials after the name. Do you understand what I say? Do you understand what I say?
Yes.
Yes, these differences are important, right? IE reference style, some examples are given here, right? Then we have IE style is here. Then there's another MLA style, Milano style or something, right? There are all the author names. What's the difference here? From the above? Now, there's a major difference when you look at this side from these two about authors. Can somebody note it? Look at this. Look at this. Then look at this. There's a major difference when you think of authors. Did you notice it?
Author comes first.
Huh? Say again. Nothing to worry. Say again, please. I welcome your responses.
Author comes first.
Author comes first. Right? Here also author comes first, but there's another difference. My dear, what's it?
No initials.
Very good. No initials. Author's initials are missing here. Right? If I am the author, here maybe LWS Kularatne. Here Kularatne LWS. Right? Here Kularatne LWS, here LWS Kularatne, here only Kularatne. So like that, MLA style. I have another one, this Harvard style. Let me go to that section. I just want to show you these things. I don't know whether these are important for your conference papers, but I had another one. Harvard should be here. Yes. You see? Can you see the screen? Yes. Harvard style. Right? they follow this order. If it is a book, who created it, when was published, what is it called, the title, how it can be found. Look at the example, who created it, author's name, comma, then initial, comma, then when was it published, year of publication, then title of the book, how it can be found, right? Publication, SAG publication, right? So that sort of stuff. In addition, book title, publication, if there is a recognized publisher, that name. So it is journal articles, books like that, according to the type of the citation, it will be different here, right? These things you can you have to study carefully and get a thorough idea